all the data whichever accessed by the web servers or the web sites that will be stored in the data center. So it is a very crucial part when we are dealing with the web servers. The complete as it is data has to be sent, no alteration or no scrubbing of data has to be done. That is provided by the quality of service. Whatever the data that is posted on the internet, that has to treat equally. There is no priority basis on the data. Hello everyone, welcome to the second session on cybersecurity for 5th semester BCom students. Myself, Induje, the Faculty of Computer Science Department, Vidhyaashram College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today we are going to discuss on internet infrastructure governance and data transfer. What all the governance rules has been set to transfer the data and how the data transfer has been done over the internet. We are going to discuss on that. It involves a complex ecosystem and technologies, protocols and policies to ensure the smooth flow of data across the global network. What all it should contain? It should have the complex ecosystem, technologies, then protocols to provide the communications, and why all these things is needed? To ensure the smooth flow of data across the global network. That is what the infrastructure for the data transfer. What all the components involved in the infrastructure? Let's see. While maintaining the security and privacy and regulatory of the compliances. Why we have to maintain the infrastructure? To provide and to maintain the security, privacy and regulatory policies of internet. It is a critical component of global network. To maintain this internet infrastructure is very critical component of the global network. It uses a seamless exchange of data between devices and the system across the world. It will provide what? Seamless exchange of data. The element and the terminologies that works together to facilitate the data transfer are given. The components, nothing but the components that is involved in the internet infrastructure will be given here. See how complex it is looking. So anything cannot be understood. We have different data centers, we have different providers, we have different carrier networks. This all comes under the data center. What we have in the data center? Networking, distribution system, rooms, and maintaining the distribution center, one administrator, everything will be there to maintain the data transfer. Apart from that, we are providing the data, we are fetching the data from the data centers. Here we have different provider, here we have different carrier network. Here we are providing to any organization or to the individual. It not only reflected with the organization or it may be the individual. For anything, organization or the individual, this all process has to be carried out. Let us see what we have other component in the infrastructure. First and very important component what we have is the internet backbone. Backbone, as a backbone is very crucial part of our body, internet is also should have one crucial part of the network, that is called as internet backbone. Internet backbone is what? It's a large amount of the data transmission. It has a high capability long hula data transmission lines and network nodes that connected major cities and the regions globally, which is connected physically to transfer the data, as your mobile wire is connected, your landline wire is connected. Like, okay, these connections enables the data to traverse a vast distance. It can traverse the vast distance in a very small time. Okay, next point is that next component is internet service provider. As we seen in the diagram, service provider, we have different network providers who acts as a service provider here. They are responsible for managing the network infrastructure, routing data, and all the devices of the network will be managed by whom? The service provider, ensuring the last mile connection to home and the business. It will provide a connection between home and the business, home or to the business, and also you can use or also you can use. Those are the IP. Yes, that is internet service providers. These are the network providers. Next point what we have, or the next component, is data centers. What is this data center? Data center facilitates equipped with the servers and the storage system that stores and processes the data. What all we have in the data centers? We have servers and in the storage to store the data. They play a crucial role in hosting the websites, web applications and the cloud services, because all the data whichever accessed by the web servers or the web sites, that will be stored in the data center. So it is a very crucial part when we are dealing with the web servers. Peer points. What are the peer points? They are end-to-end points to provide the connection. Internet traffic is exchanged at the peer points. What is internet traffic? How many people are using that particular site at that particular time. Number of users is called as a traffic here. Okay, which are physical locations where the different network connects to one another. What is a peer point? Peer points are the physical locations where different networks are connected. Okay, that is called as peer point. For example, you can take yourself. You stay in a different areas, right? You have one particular meeting point, that is called as peer point. A meeting of friends. You come to our common point. If you call and say, if you message and say, come to a common point at that particular time, so everyone will gather at that point. That is called as peer point, where the physical location where different network connections connects to each other. Different peoples will connect to each other. Internet exchange point are the important peer points where ISP, internet service provider, content provider and the other network interconnect to exchange the data. Here what happens in the peer points? Different service provider, that is service provider, content provider and then a network provider will communicate together to exchange the data. This is all about peer pointing. So let us have the discussion of peer and transaction. What is the first component? Is the internet backbone. These internet backbones are connected together, so we are calling it as pairing connection between two backbones or different backbones. Here we have connection of regional centers. How these are connected? The backbone these regional center can access from backbone 1, backbone 2 or backbone 3. Let us consider these can access the data either from 1, 2 or 3. So you can see here region 2 is accessing from here and also from here. You can access any data from any backbone to your particular region. Once from particular region, it will distribute to the local regions. This is connection will be provided by the region is also by peering. Okay, so this is all about the components what we have discussed so far. Then the fifth component is content delivery network. What is this content delivery network? Serves that cache and deliver the web content such as images, videos and web pages for location geographically closer to the end user. Means what? This one server is there in US and one user is there in India. So here from data has to be transmitted from US to India. This particular is called as CDN, content delivery network. It acts as a cache. It holds the temporary data which is fetched from the US server and that will be given to the individual in India. Not only one individual will be accessing, many individuals will be accessing. So whenever the other individual asks for, it will provide the data from this particular cache. That is content delivery network. Encryption and security. The sixth component what we have is encryption and security. Technologies like SSL and TSL. SSL stands for Secure Socket Layering and TSL stands for Transfer layer security. So these are some of the securities, that is encryption algorithm that is provided for the purpose of security, ensuring that it remains confidential during the transmit. When we are transmitting the data from one place to the other place, there should be confidentiality. There should not be any changes when we are transferring. For example, if I am transferring hi from here, it should not while by reaching, it should not be only h. Full hi has to be reached. That is providing the confidentiality. Firewalls, intrusion detection systems and the anti-malware tools helps to protect the data against the cyber threat. How we are achieving the security? Achieving the security by using the firewalls, intrusion detection system, antivirus and anti-malware tools. We are providing the security. Then internet infrastructure and data transmission. That is what about CDN, that is content delivery network. Before having content delivery network, there is a different data. From this it will be transferring, from this server it will be transferring, from this server also it will be transferring. So other users are using user 1, user 2 and user 3. It will transferring from different servers, server 1, server 2 and server 3. But what happens when we come in with the content delivery? Once it is fetched from the server, it will be stored in the CND. From server 1 it will be stored, server 2 it will be stored, server 3 it will be stored. Whenever the request is done by the user, it will distribute according to the request by the content delivery network. This is what about content delivery network. Then encryption. Encryption means what? Original text. I am sending some text to the person X there. Encryption happens while transmitting the data. When encryption, it will create one public key. It will differentiate the key. When decryption, after encryption, when it is reaching to the user X, that has to be decrypted. If I send hi here, it will be encrypted to XYXH XYXI, like this. It will be encrypted in some other form, depends on the algorithm, what type of algorithm you are using for the encryption. When it is moving towards the network, here it has to decrypt it from this particular thing to hi again, then the original text will be given to the user X. So this is what about encryption and decryption of data. Next, the 7 component what we have in the infrastructure is routers and then the switches. What is a routers? Router are the key components to provide the network, to provide the communication, direct data packets to their intended destination. From where to it has to reach, from where to where it has to reach, that will be redirected by the routers and then the switches. Router determines the most efficient path for the data traversal between the network. For example, when you are using your GPS, for same destination you will be having 2-3 routes, right? Google will be saying that this the traffic is there, this route is a very fastest route to reach your destination, like that. Here also it will use us, the router will provide the fastest route to transmit the data. Then quality of services. Quality of services is a mechanism prioritize certain types of data traffic to ensure the optimal performance. The complete as it is data has to be sent. No alteration or no scrubbing of data has to be done. That is provided by the quality of service. Apart from this, we have a regulatory and policy framework. How to do that? We have some regulation policies and frameworks to transmit those data. That is done by some internet standards. So this is a router and this is a switch. This is a router and this is a switch. How router will give the instruction to the switch. From switch we are reaching to the end points. Similarly here, connection of the networks through the router. How the internet is connected to the router. Next, what we have is governance. What all the governance we have on the regulatory policies, right? Here are the regulatory framework. These are the different regulatory framework. What is there? Regulatory rules will be having, the government approved regulatory authorities will be there, and the confirmatory assessment bodies will be there to check whether it is happening in the proper way or not. Classification scheme based on the potential risk at the user. It will say it is a user risk, it is not the proper website to download anything. At your risk you can do that, like that. Some classification of the schemes will be there. Quality has to be maintained, quality of service has to be maintained. That will be taken care by whom? Regulatory framework. System for evaluating and clinical safety and performance of the device has to be updated on regular basis. These all fall under what? Regulatory framework. The system allows the market to enhance, and then surveillance system for the device. Particularly if they are accessing something irrelevant, we have to put the surveillance on such devices. That all falls under the regulatory framework. Next, we'll move on to the governance. What do you mean by internet governance? It refers to the process, rules and organization that oversee the coordinate various aspects of the global internet. It provides a coordination between the various aspects of the internet by posing some rules, some process through some organization. It includes the technical standards. What all the rules? It should maintain some technical standards. Who to access? It should provide the privacy, it should provide the security, and also resolve the disputes that happens over the internet. That all is a job of whose? Internet governances. In internet governance, there will be it is a multi-stock models, means multi-stockers models. We have different stakeholders in the governance. Governance is not made up of by one person or one committee. It is a combination of different committees. That's why we call it as multi-stakeholder model. Multi-stakeholder models involves the collaboration from who are the multi-stakeholder. There should be one, the government system will be there, and private sector will be there, civil sector will be there, and the technical community. Combining all these things, we are forming one governance. Who are all the stakeholders? Government, private agency, civil sector, civil society, what we are living at, and then the technical community. 4 stakeholders we are mainly concentrating on. The key organization to maintain these governances are Internet Corporation for assigning the names and numbers, that we call it as ICANN. Names and number, as I told you, domain names. For Google has its own IP address. So for those IP address, some name has to be provided. If I want to have my own website, I have to create first I had to create the IP address of that website. For that IP address, I am specifying some name that has to be approved by this organization. And then internet engineering 4 stack. Anything that happens on the internet, that is technical 4 stacks should be there to take care of. That is given by the internet engineering 4 stacks. Develops and publishes the internet standards and the protocol, ensuring that technical aspect. What all the technical aspects to be taken care, that will be given by IETF. Apart from that, 2 more organizations are there. World Wide Web Consortium, that is what we call it is W3. World Wide Web Consortium, that will take care of how to maintain the websites, HTML, CSS, how to develop the website. Some rules are there to develop the website. Randomly we cannot develop, so that will be all taken care by WC3. Internet governance from, it will a global platform discussing the internet governance, what all to be involved in the governance, issues, policies, and promote an open, inclusive and collaborative approach for the governance. Okay. Next, what we have in the internet governance is internet policies. The standard set of policies has to be made to maintain the flow of execution. Then content regulation, which content has to be put on which website and which website should be accessible to whom. For example, for children below 18 years, some websites are not accessible. Like that, content regulation has to be done. And the human right, right to express, right to speech, that has to be taken care. All the human right has to be taken care, that should not harm some other individual or some other organization. That comes under the human rights. Global internet access, internet can be accessed, made available to anywhere and any place, for the remote place also, that is taken care by global internet access. Internet dispute resolution, if anything happens over the internet, that dispute has to be resolved by the governance. For example, if server is down or something happens, some fake news has been displayed, all this thing will be resolved by the governance. Regional and national internet governance initiation, as for example, you will be having some different set of rules for the state government and different set of rules for the central government. Similarly, depends on the region, we can provide the regional governances or regional regulations for the internet also. This is all about the internet governance. Then we move on to the internet society. What is internet society? It is a global non-profitable organization that advocates for the open, accessible and secure internet over everyone. It provides what? Open, accessible and secure internet. The goal of internet society is this, to provide the internet for everyone. It is there founded in 1992, where the headquarters resides in USA. The headquarters of internet society resides. The advisory for the open internet. What all the internet society includes? It includes the advisory for open internet, to provide a free and open internet to everyone. It is a main key concept of internet society, and it should provide the technical experts. Anything happens over the internet, as a organization, key organization we have discussed, it should provide the technical support to resolve such type of issues. Promotion of internet access. They promote to use more internet. For example, in the remote areas, in the hill stations or in some remote areas, internet is not accessible. It's a job of internet society to take care such that it should be available for everyone. And then internet governance. Internet society has followed the governance that has made by the internet governance. Apart from that, internet governance, what we have is internet safety and security. It should provide whatever the data we put on the internet, it should provide the safety and security of that data, and accessing the person using the internet, the personal information of those users should be safe and secure. Community building. It provides what? Community building. Similar minded people can build their community by communicating over the internet. Public policies and advisory. It will enhance the public policies and advisory that to make use of internet. And capacity building. As we are communicating with the similar kind and peoples, we can improve our skill, we can improve the capacity. Internet hall of fames. Hall of names means here every year they'll award some awardees who has done much more contribution to the development of internet. That is hall of fame. They have one big hall where the frame will be the contributed person frame will be displayed. That is a honor for anyone who has done something on the something good that will provide on the internet. Event and conferences. As a similar minded people will build their community according to their community to enhance the knowledge on particular thing, they can provide the event, online events and the conferences. This all are comes under internet governance. Then regulation on cyberspace. What all the regulation that has been put on the cyberspace? The regulation of the cyberspace refer to the legal and the policy framework established by the government and the international organization to and to oversee the activities in the digital real time. Real me is nothing but real time, including the internet. What all the activities is going on, we should have a eye over it. That is given by the regulation of cyberspace. How we are achieving the regulation? By cybersecurity regulation, implementing the cybersecurity regulations. Some governances has gone through with some issues, and they have made some regulation rules. Using those, we are providing the cyber security. Data privacy law. For a particular individual or particular organization have their private data, that should not be shared to some other, which though it is on the internet, it is not shareable to the other. That is data privacy law. Intellectual property law. Intellectual property is nothing but the patents and the copyright. One has a copyright, cannot use that according to his name or their name or the organization name. It has to maintain such confidentiality and intellectual property. If anyone using the particular thing, he can pose a complaint, raise a complaint on that. For example, company name. For example, Tata is one company name and Toyota is one more company name. This company name cannot be exchanged with other. There is a copyright for Tata and copyright for Toyota, right? Similarly, it has to maintain the copyright and patenting things, privacy on that. Content regulation, as already discussed, which content has to be posted where and which content has to be seen by whom. That has a content regulation. That also falls under regulation of cyberspace. Next, what we have in net neutrality. All the data has to be treated equally. That is, whatever the data that is posted on the internet, that has to treat equally. There is no priority basis on the data. And electronic transaction and e-commerce law, it also provides a transition, how the transaction has to be done on the electronic devices and what all the e-commerce. If you want to develop a e-commerce site or you want to purchase, what all the laws you should be follows. And justifications and cross-border legal issue. As the internet has no boundary, but physically we have a boundary. Each border, cross-border, how data transmission has to be done. There is a major huge headache when we are transmitting a data, fetching from cross-border things. And the government surveillance and policies. Some of the government bodies will have some set of policies who will keeping the surveillance and what activities going on the cyberspace. Encryption policies. There are different algorithms and policies to encrypt the data. Randomly we cannot encrypt, so that the decryption, we should have one private key for the decryption. Internet governance framework. There are some framework that internet governance has to work on those framework itself. And digital ethics. Whenever we are doing anything on the cyberspace, we should follow some digital ethics. Whenever we are using anything, whenever we are in college, you have to follow college ethics, students ethics, like that. Whenever we are doing anything in that digital thing, you have to follow the digital ethics. Now we'll move on to the concept of cyber security. What all the concepts involved in the cyber security? Cyber security, as all of you know, it is a practice of protecting the computer system, network and the digital data from theft, damage and the unauthorized access. That is a main motto of cyber security. How we are providing? There are some key concepts of cyber security. One is confidentiality. Only authorized people can access the data. That is confidentiality. Integrity. We are not allowed to do any changes on the data while data is transmitting. That is integrity. Available. It has to be available at all the time. Then authentication. It has to provide the strong passwords, keywords for the authenticating your individuality, identity. That is authentication. Authorization. Once you have got the authentication, you have authority to do any modification and changes on the internet. Then firewall. How we are providing the security? By implementing the firewalls between the data transmission. Intrusion detection system and prevention system. It is a system that monitor the traffic on the network to see whether any illegal activity is going on. It is detecting any illegal activities there or not. Antivirus and anti-malware, that if any antiviruses will installed in your system, it will avoid those such of antivirus and anti-malware softwares. Encryption, as all of you know how data is transmitting, we have to encrypt the data while transmitting at the user end. Again we have to decrypt the data. Patch management. Patch is nothing but the space created when some unwanted thing happen, that is called as patch. How to manage that patch? You should have always one backup plan to manage that patch. That is a patch management is one of the concept in cyber security. Security awareness and training. Everyone should be provided with the security awareness, how we can do secure transaction, how we can do secure transmission of data. That will be provided with the awareness and the training. Security policies and procedure. What all the policies and procedure, everyone has to go through with the policies and procedure of providing security. And security software development. There is, as threats are more, they are creating another way to create the threats to damage the data. Meanwhile, the software has to be updated. We need to develop the new antivirus, anti-malware softwares to avoid such threats. These are about securities. Issues in cyber security, what we have, that are the components of cyber security. Now we are discussing the issues of cyber security. Cyber security faces multitude of complex and evolving issues as a technology constitute a advantage. As technology is growing, we are having more complex issues. That is what they are trying to say. What all the issues? Cyber attacks. Major issue what we have, cyber attacks. Simply the people cannot sit, they keep on attacking to fetch the individual's data or the personal information. Data breaching. In a digital space, that data has to be breached. They are breaching the data, they are manipulating the data so that it will give some false results. Then privacy concern. The private data should be kept private. Whichever the post you have kept it for the private, that should be kept. That should not be posted as a public. So that is privacy concern. Phishing and social engineering. So as phishing does, a small fish is given to catch the larger fish. A small amount of the information is given to fetch the large amount of the information. That is called as phishing. Phishing is mostly done on the social engineering. Social engineering means we don't know the people personally, how the people is, who the people is, just will go through with the words whatever he see. So phishing can be done on social media or social engineering very easily. Then ransomware. Ransomware is for your desktop or for your laptop. They are encrypted your data and they are asking the ransom for release those data or decrypt those data. That is called as ransomware. This is also a type of the software that is used to create or lock the screen. Then advanced persistent threat. Apart from that, we have different types of threats that can be addressed. Then IoT security. Next what we have is issue IoT security. As in the medical field, we have a pacemaker. For example, we have a pacemaker which controls the heart rate. So you can alter that pacemaker and make the person die. So these are some of the security issues what we have with the IoTs. As we are dealing with the sensors, the devices is not in our control. They can hack and they can take the device control. Supply chain vulnerability means in the supply chain you can do the breaching and make, if I want 100 systems, you can make it as 10. I requested someone to make it as 100 systems. So, well, the attacker make it as 10, I'll get only 10 and I'll be paid for much systems. So that type of supply chain vulnerability will be there. Insider threat. Insider means the individual or the person who is working for the company can give the all the information to the outsiders who is working for initially to the other company but taking a salary from this company. That is called as insider threat. And lack of society awareness. Because of lack of awareness, we are very prone to get threatened easily. That is lack of security awareness, cryptocurrency and cyber crime. These are all one of the major issues what we are having, whether the cryptocurrency is fake, whether the cryptocurrency what we are investing on is real, we don't know. So this is one more issues. Scarcity and the security talents. To provide the security, we have very less talent and very less knowledge also. That is a scarcity, and the security cyber security talents is very less. Don't no one will opt much this. Evaluating attack vectors. Each time attacker using the different strategy, each time attacker will be using a different strategy to attack and to fetch the data, to get the personal information, everything they'll be keep on trying. That is called as evaluating attacker vector. In one or the other way he'll be trying. So next what we are going to deal is the challenges what we have in the cyber security. Cyber security faces numerous of challenges in today's digital age as the threat landscape continues evolving and becomes more sophisticated. Some of the key challenges in the cyber security include constantly evolving threats and then the landscape. Constantly evolving threats is very challenging to face it. Then storage and skilled profession, shortage of skilled professional. As we have just discussed, there is not much professionals who go for cyber security. Though we have a very good feature in that, we don't opt. The complexity of IT environment, data transfer from one server another server, cloud computing, IoTs. There are many complexity in the existing environment. So it is very challenging to understand that complexity, to understand the issues in that environment, and to come up with the solution for that particular thing. Insider threat, as we don't know which employee is working for some other one, which employee is leaking the organization data, we cannot find out very easily. That is one of challenge to find the internal threats or insider threat. Zero-day vulnerability is a one more important challenge, because you don't have a time to check whether there is an attack or not. Zero time you have left with. That is called a zero day. And supply chain attack, already discussed. Lack of cyber security investments. That's all for this session. Thank you.